Okay, we are back. Be your own financial advisor. We've got another microcap idea, and it is called OneSoft Solutions. This is a very interesting company, so let's get into it. Again, it's a microcap. You should never have more than, I would say, 5% of your portfolio invested in microcap stocks. So I'm not saying each microcap stock should be less than 5%. I'm saying that when you value all your microcap stocks, they better not add up to more than 5, 6, 7, or 8%. If you have more than that, it's time to sell. Okay, so let's get into OneSoft. Let's go to what is OneSoft. That is the update you're looking at now. Okay, so here we go. OneSoft Solutions Inc. An interesting, novel idea aiming to solve a big problem. OneSoft Solutions is a small company with a big idea. They're based in Edmonton, Alberta. For our American viewers, Alberta is like the Texas of Canada, and Edmonton is like the Dallas of Texas, and Calgary's probably like the Houston of Texas. Okay, so what is this big idea? The idea is to reform how oil and gas pipeline companies evaluate potential structural problems in their pipeline infrastructure. Why is this interesting? Failing pipelines is a problem. According to regulatory data, there has been an average of 1.7 incidents per day over the last 20 years, with an average cost per incident to the pipeline owning company of over $750,000. 3 major incidents over the past 20 years have cost over $1 billion each, and lives were lost. You know, obviously a failure at any point in a pipeline can be catastrophic and devastating, and pipeline owning companies devote a lot of time, energy, and money evaluating data, digging up pipeline, and repairing problems. The market estimated global annual expenditure on oil and gas pipeline is $1.1 billion on pipeline evaluation, $2.6 billion on pipeline inspection, and $8.3 billion on pipeline maintenance. See appendix, actually I moved it up. Here's the appendix. OneSoft directly aims at the evaluation phase and indirectly at the inspection and maintenance phase. So here's the market. Here's the total addressable market. So in the global market, $1.1 billion is spent on evaluation, $2.6 billion on inspection, $8.3 billion on maintenance. OneSoft aims directly at this and indirectly at these two, the maintenance and the inspection, directly at the evaluation. Okay, so let's go to Yahoo Finance and take a look at OneSoft. So here's OneSoft. It trades in Canada and the US. This is the Canadian quote. Trades on the Venture Exchange. It's got a market cap of $64 million. So it's definitely a small cap company. And I want to show you this. When it comes to financials, we don't really care about financials at this point, except for this. If you look at total current assets where is it? Current assets, total current assets 10 million compared to total current liabilities of 2.4 million. So they don't have a liquidity problem. That is important. Okay, so how do pipeline owning companies evaluate their pipeline infrastructure? A standard method to gather data is to send a pipeline inspection gauge called a PIG down the pipeline. The PIG flows with product down the pipeline. So imagine they put the PIG into the pipeline. Let's say it's an oil pipeline. The oil is flowing down the pipeline. The PIG flows with the oil, and the PIG is equipped with multiple sensors, and these sensors are gathering data. The PIG is extracted at the end of the pipeline. The PIG is taken. Typically, the PIG is owned by a PIG vendor, not the actual pipeline owning company, but it's owned by a PIG vendor, and the pipeline owning company is contracting the services of the PIG vendor. The PIG vendor takes the PIG to their warehouse. They download the data, they massage the data, and a while later, like up to 6 months later, the data is delivered from the PIG owning company to the pipeline owning company. Now, how the data is delivered is historically, it's through an Excel file. Now, this is a huge file. Okay, so it is estimated that less than 6% of the data that is delivered to the pipeline owning company is analyzed. Analysis and evaluation are substantially manual, and the process can take up to 6 months until decisions are made. So it takes a while to get the delivery of the data. The pig company has done some evaluation on the data and massaging of the data. The pipeline owning company gets the data. They have to look at the data. They have to compare it to past data. And in many cases, a repair crew is then sent out to actually dig up the pipe and see what the anomaly is. Or, quite often, they don't send out a repair crew. Quite often they say, okay, we don't need to dig up the pipe yet. We don't think this anomaly is serious enough to dig up the pipe yet. Okay, so you get the data, you got reams of data. Now decisions are heavily skewed, probably overly skewed by the latest data. Now importantly, pipeline companies have been doing this for years, and they have reams of historical data, just reams of it, tons of historical data. What does OneSoft do? OneSoft takes the reams of data and loads it into Microsoft Azure's cloud infrastructure and applies Azure's computational power to run the data through OneSoft's algorithms within their cognitive integrity management software product. The results are presented to the client through the client interface on SIM. It's a software as a service business model. Okay, I want to get to this next paragraph before I explain this diagram. Okay, the totality of client data helps drive and improve OneSoft's algorithms. The more data that is fed into SIM, the smarter SIM's algorithms become. This is data science and machine learning at its finest. Machine learning loves data, and they extract every ounce of information. Okay, so let's take a look at this diagram. So here's the traditional way. A pipeline owning company will have reams of data in Excel spreadsheets, and they have to look at this data to make decisions. So the latest pig run is a massive Excel file. Now they'll have a pig run from 2 years ago. That's another massive Excel file. So to make an intelligent decision, they might have to look at Excel data files going back 30 years to monitor the progression of the anomaly in the pipeline. Now this gets problematic. So SIM, they run it through SIM. SIM is based on machine learning and algorithms and has learned how to recognize anomalies, how to recognize what is a serious anomaly, what is not so serious an anomaly, and what is absolutely not a serious anomaly. And they get a more intelligent output compared to just eyeballing Excel data. The algorithms produce better analysis than eyeballing the latest data. Progress of an anomaly can be better measured, analyzed, and monitored, and the probability of pipeline failure can be minimized. Better dig and non-dig decisions can be made. Digs, especially unproductive digs, are expensive. The fewer the digs, the better. Even a small reduction in digs saves a lot of money. Ultimately, the algorithms chart the best course of action on an anomaly and do this substantially quicker than current legacy processes. Okay, I want to show you this. This is from OneSoft's presentation. Oops. Oh, here we go. Okay, so repair fraction. Digs found to be required were mostly consistent between 40 and 60%. So what this means is they spot an anomaly. They think the anomaly is serious enough to send a repair crew out to dig it up and further investigate. The repair crew comes back, and 40 to 60% of the time, they say, yes, we're glad we went. We had to do a repair. However, the corollary to that is 60 to 40% of the time, the repair crew comes back and says, we didn't need to do anything there. They'll probably paint or coat the pipeline, but way too often, 60% to 40%, the repair crew comes back and said there was nothing for us to do there. So even a 1% improvement in repair fraction is significant. OneSoft believes that they can improve the repair fraction using machine learning by 10 to 20%. That's now. What happens when the algorithms get yet even smarter? So this is interesting too. Predicted failure dates. So you find an anomaly, and let's say the software says, look, we don't expect much to happen or anything close to a failure until 2034. There's a scenario where you wouldn't send out a repair crew. Okay, back to the presentation. So that's what OneSoft does. Regulators and compliance departments appreciate the product. OneSoft's association with Microsoft Azure is not new. The relationship has been in effect for many years. OneSoft needs the computational power of Azure, and Azure wants oil and gas industry clients. OneSoft is responsible for a significant portion of Azure's current oil and gas computational use. So the most interesting aspect about OneSoft is they may develop an unbreachable moat. Machine learning's appeal is that algorithms get smarter as the data consumed grows. So the more data that clients load, the smarter and more predictive OneSoft's algorithms become. This has first mover competitive advantage ramifications. You know, it is difficult to take on a competitor that has more data, and I'm going to use Google as the example. It is almost impossible for someone or something like artificial intelligence to derive better search algorithms than Google's. Anybody trying to do this is at a data disadvantage. Google's data advantage results in a smarter search engine. Because Google has a smarter search engine, more people use it to search. And therefore, Google is getting more and more data, and that results in smarter and smarter algorithms. So OneSoft says it has yet to find a standalone competitor, and first mover advantage could work a data advantage into an unbreachable moat. Now they say standalone competitor, which leads me to believe that there's some large pipeline owning companies who might be trying this. They might be trying to create algorithms that they can load their own data into. However, they're going to be at a data disadvantage to OneSoft if OneSoft works out, because OneSoft is using a totality of client data to improve their algorithms, whereas the pipeline owning company, if they decide to do this on their own, has only their own data to work with. So you think that even the biggest pipeline owning company will not have as much data as OneSoft if OneSoft continues to sign up clients. So it's very interesting. Now, I'm always afraid of this, and I think I've explained this before. What makes companies with great ideas like OneSoft has fail? Because these companies fail all the time. And one of the biggest things to look for is timing. And I'm going to use the shareyourworld.com example. I think I've mentioned this before, but Share Your World was formed in 1997 and did the exact same thing that YouTube does. Now, YouTube was formed in 2005. Share Your World shut down in 2001, and YouTube, formed in 2005, was sold for over $1.5 billion in, I think, 2007. Why did YouTube work and Share Your World not work? And the only reason is Share Your World was 8 years too early. Broadband wasn't prevalent enough, and technology wasn't good enough to make watching a video on your computer an enjoyable experience. With YouTube, with the advent of broadband and the better technology, watching a video on YouTube is a pleasurable experience. So that's it. Okay, so I worry a little bit about this. OneSoft is a company with they seem to be well timed. Timing is an important success variable with microcap companies. Machine learning seems sufficiently advanced to render SIM possible and superior to current legacy processes. And this is a big and, the cost of computational power continues to fall. Algorithms and machine learning takes a lot of computational power. And This wouldn't have been possible probably 15 years ago. I think 5 years ago, it probably was possible, and it just gets easier and less expensive all the time to run that amount of computational power. So where is OneSoft? The sales and marketing phase is near. I would change this to say the sales and marketing phase is here. OneSoft recently hired a senior VP of sales with oil and gas industry connections, and he is building a team. He is based in Texas. He will be challenged. The sales cycle is long, but I think this guy has had some input into OneSoft, and man, it's interesting input. And it's likely not the best time to be selling to the oil and gas industry because of COVID. Now, the reason the sales cycle is so long is companies are not eager to dump legacy technology ever, and especially in a market downturn. OneSoft's marketing message is a more efficient and better predictive pipeline integrity management solution with ultimately lower cost due to less pipeline failure and fewer unproductive digs. There is an update on this. Companies are not eager to dump legacy technology that I'm going to get into in a second. The fourth quarter's annual, you can read that on your own. Financials are not interesting yet because, who cares? They've actually had some good quarters, but that's not why I'm invested in OneSoft. I'm not invested in OneSoft for the near-term revenue. I'm investing in OneSoft because I think they have a disruptive technology, and you can almost vision a situation where oil and gas companies say, hey, look, we're going to get rid of our evaluation department. OneSoft, you are going to be our evaluation department. And I can see oil and gas companies saying, why are we evaluating when we can just give it to them? They'll run it through their extremely intelligent algorithms. They'll tell us where to send our crews to dig up the pipeline and repair the pipeline. They'll show us where the future problems are that we don't need to do much about right now. Okay, so let me go to the update. I may as well show you this. Okay, cash flow from ops, it's still negative, but cash at the end of the period, they've got $8.2 million right now. They're fine because they've signed a few contracts and they're going to get revenue from those contracts. Okay, so let's go up here. Financial statements, who cares? Product development. OneSoft continues to expand SIMS functionality. I used the example of a pig to gather data. There are pipelines that are not piggable. Now, OneSoft they've recently been able to ingest non-piggable pipeline data into their SIM software product. So their market's continually expanding. So this is interesting. New pricing model, and I think this might be the influence of the new senior VP of sales. Until now, OneSoft, they had a testing period, and then they would ask the company to make a decision. So it's either you go from evaluation to testing to decision making, and the decision is rip out all your legacy technology and replace it with OneSoft's product. Well, that's kind of a pretty big ask. So OneSoft has introduced an intermediate step, and it's a pay-as-you-go pricing model. So a large pipeline-owning company is a lot more comfortable saying, okay, we're going to run this. We're going to sign on to your service, but we're only going to do it on this portion of our pipeline. And we're really going to evaluate that for the next couple of years. And if all goes well, we'll probably move everything to OneSoft. Now that I mentioned earlier that the sales cycle was extremely long. That, in effect, shortens the sales cycle. It's a big decision to discard legacy processes. So now OneSoft is saying you don't have to discard all your legacy processes. The pay-as-you-go pricing model is more expensive than SIM. So, if all goes well, these clients will migrate to the full-on SIM SaaS contract pricing model. Okay, they've had some nice wins since the end of the third quarter, and I just want to show you this on their website. Corporate news, OneSoft. Okay, Consumer Energy advances digital transformation with OneBridge machine learning SaaS solution. OneSoft owns OneBridge. Another US multinational company licenses OneBridge's machine learning SaaS solution. OneSoft subsidiary OneBridge and MDAD enter into a teaming agreement to pursue SIM adoption in Middle East markets. And a new client adopts OneSoft Solutions CIM. So OneSoft is, they're in the sales cycle right now. Their product has been developed and tested by many in the industry. And from what I gather, those in the industry like what they see. And you can kind of see where this is going. It's going, let me go back to this part. I think OneSoft may be moving towards being the evaluation division of oil and gas pipelines companies. Oil and gas pipeline companies might say, hey, why are we doing any of this? We're just going to hand you the data. You come back, you tell us what to inspect, and you tell us where we need to send out the crews to fix the product. So that's it. Interesting company that could change the evaluation process of oil and gas pipelines. And the timing seems right. It seems like machine learning is advanced enough, and the cost for all the computational power that is necessary to do this has declined enough where it is substantially more cost effective to evaluate oil and gas pipelines this way than the old legacy processes. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.